Well, hello, everybody. It's 1 minute after 1 here in Chicago, and we're going to get started. Good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar, Project Management in Business Central. My name is Gina Honer, and I'm a Senior ERP Consultant here at TruNorth Dynamics. So our webinar today is going to introduce you to projects in Business Central. You may also know them as jobs. Projects are a way for you to keep track of usage, company resources, billing customers, and being able to report on all those costs and revenue. There's so much to talk about for projects. I've picked what I hope are the most common elements for us to take a look at. So let's move over to our agenda. We're going to talk about how to set up a project and what types of projects Business Central will track for you. Then we'll move over to creating transactions, recording transactions for usage. And if this is a WIP type of project, we're going to calculate and post WIP and take a look at that. Of course, we need to bill our customers, so we'll look at billing. And then there's going to come the time where you have to create a new project. And at that point, you may say, well, I wish I had a template. Well, Business Central doesn't have templates for their projects, but you certainly can copy an existing project. Makes it very easy to get like a level playing field there. Throughout our call today, we'll be monitoring our project. We'll be looking at budget versus actual numbers, and towards the end of our call, we're going to take a look at some reporting. A little bit of housekeeping before we jump right in. Our Q&A chat is open for questions, like Cameron said, and submit your questions. One of our moderators will answer, or we'll save it for the end of our session. And once our webinar is finished, we're going to email a copy of the slide deck to you along with the recording. So with that, let's get started. What types of projects can we have here in Business Central? Well, the first three that you see here have asterisks next to them. Those are the ones we're going to talk about today in our session. Time and materials, we want to record costs against a project, and we're going to bill our customers. Probably the most common type of project that I've seen. Fixed price projects, well, we've quoted a fixed price, and we're going to hold to that by billing maybe milestones, and we still want to record usage or expenses on the project. We're just not going to be billing based on anything other than a flat price. And then percent of completion, also pretty popular, where we're still going to capitalize and control our costs, and we're still going to do our billing, but we're going to recognize costs and recognize revenue based on the percent that the project is complete. So very different type of entry there. The last four items that you see here are lesser known types of projects. We're going to be focusing on the first three. Before we can set up any project, there's some master record setups that you might need. We're going to take a look at the project setup page, and then we're going to talk about posting groups. You know, posting groups are the backbone of Business Central. We want our users to not have to decide what GL accounts to use when they're entering a transaction. Thus comes our posting groups. So we have them for projects too. You may be selling items on a project or consuming an item. So we want to make sure those items are set up. Resources, I like to think of resources as person, place, or thing. We can record costs and revenue for resources, and we can even record transactions to projects based on employee timesheets. I'm going to hop over to Business Central now. If you have ever sat in on one of my webinars, you know about our Life is Rough demo company, and I'm still using it. So Life is Rough is, I'm in a sandbox here. It is a dog grooming, boarding, and retail facility. So you'll see some fun things around dogs as we go through our session today. So our boarding facility is going through some remodeling, and we're going to have some projects set up for it. But first, we need to take a look at project setup. So this is our main setup page for projects. Most of it is just how do we want our projects to act by default. But there are a couple things I want to point out. First, document number is project number. I turn on this toggle so that when I'm looking at project ledger entries, I know right away which project that entry is for, because the document number is the project number. You'll notice we still have some J's in here for numbering series, and we see the word jobs. And again, Microsoft is slowly but surely turning over jobs to be the word projects. The other thing is down at the bottom, archive projects. I always want to archive my projects so I can go back and look at what happened on a specific project at any point in time. The next thing we're going to take a look at are our project posting groups. Now, project posting groups are used for recording WIP and revenue recognition. If your project isn't any one of those, then you don't need posting groups. Okay, we have two of them set up here in our demo company, and if you look very carefully, they both have the same GL accounts. But I do want to demonstrate a percent of completion type of project, so we do need to have posting groups set up for that. If you are just a T&M type of project, if you're a fixed fee type of project, you're not calculating WIP, then you won't be using posting groups. But you might be using items. Now, if I'm selling items on my project or consuming an item on my project, then I want to make sure it's in inventory, right? I can add the item to a project out of the box, and then when we are using it or have sold it, it would decrease the quantity over in our subledger and send it over to the GL also. But you can also add items via a purchase invoice or a purchase order. So maybe you don't want to pull it out of inventory, or it's an item that you haven't stocked in the past. That's okay. You can use purchase invoice or purchase order, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a little bit. Resources is our next master record. Now, what you're going to see here is most of the resources that are set up are people's names, right? And we want to record based on an hour the work that this person has performed on a project. It could be an employee, it could be a contractor, it could be your next door neighbor. Doesn't matter, it's somebody who's performing work. Notice at the top here, though, we have a labor item, and this is, if it's not a person, it's a machine. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a real machine, but here we're recording time in a base unit of measure of minutes. So when I think about person, place, or thing could be a machine, and we can track that as a resource. We assign the resources to our projects. Now, maybe you want to go one step further and look at employees. Now, employees can be set up here in Business Central. We have a really small employee or HR component built into BC. But if you're going to use employees on your projects, you need to have set up timesheets. Employees need to enter their timesheets and submit them, and it could be a little bit more work than what you're looking for. And that's why lots of people, instead of using employees, they're going to use resources. Okay? It's a way easier step than recording timesheets and using employee information. Your employee can be set up as a resource. We can use it for labor, we can use it for equipment, we can use a resource for travel time. So it has more flexibility than our resources do. Okay, let's hop over now, and what's next? We're going to create a project. So when we create a project, we've got the project card, and on that project card, we've got various fast tabs or sections that we need to complete, and that's what you see right here. Now, there is one fast tab that I pulled out, and it's called tasks. This one has a little bit more relevance than the others in terms of my project setup. So think of a project task as summary information. And when I set up my task, I can then assign project planning lines to that task. Think of your planning lines as the details. For example, maybe we have a task called labor, and we have 5 different people who are going to be working on the project. I would create 5 project planning lines using the resource for that particular person. So my detail rolls up to my summary. We're going to show you what that looks like in just a second. All right, let me go ahead and I'm the queen of having open pages. So I'm going to go to my project list. I just added the project list to my bookmark bar. I'm going to click on it, and we've got a list of projects here. Now, I did stage 3 projects for us because it would take way too much time to create them all from scratch using and posting too many transactions to it. But you'll be able to take a look right away at this T&M project that we have. So the general fast tab says, give me a project number. I used alpha characters, doesn't matter. Give me a description and tell me who the customer is. Okay. Even though you don't see a red asterisk here, the customer is required. You won't be able to record transactions for a project that does not have a customer assigned to them. And then what you see here is just default information from that customer's card. I'm going to go to show less to maximize my desktop space. I'm going to skip tasks for now. Okay, coming down to posting. Now in this section here, this is a T&M project. We don't need a posting group. If it's here, it's just going to be ignored. We don't need a whip method. If it's here, it's just going to be ignored. The only way Business Central would need to use this information is if you clicked this whip button at the top of the page. And on a T&M project, you're not going to do that. But over on the right side are 2 toggles that I like to turn on. The first one says to allow budget and billable lines. And this will make sense to you in just a second. But on my T&M project, I want to capture costs for a line, but I also want to bill it. Okay, that line is called budget plus billable. Okay? I want to be able to have separate lines just for budget or just for billable, but I want to be able to combine them too, depending on what type of project I have. And then underneath it is this toggle called Apply Usage Link. And in my book, it's really important. So what happens is when we have usage or consumption, when we record a transaction on a project, I want to make sure that wherever that transaction originates, whether it be a purchase order or a purchase invoice, a project journal, I want to make sure that the entry is linked to the project. Okay? So I turn on this toggle here. Now, this being just a T&M project, we are calculating percent complete for costs and invoicing. We're not doing anything with it. Right now, it's just informational purposes for you based on the budget that's been assigned and the actual costs that we've accumulated. We're going to see them in just a second. Shipping and invoicing, nothing special here outside of a regular sales type of transaction. Under duration, you can put a starting and ending date. This will help you with performance type of reporting. We're not doing anything with multi-currency. And when we have when we have a project that we will be tracking WIP for, when we calculate the WIP entry for that period, you're going to see the calculated numbers right here. And you see you've got some drill downs. And you can take a look at the details on that calculation before you post it. So when we post it, then it gets moved over to the posted column. So good information here for you. But now I'm going to come to tasks because here's where our work gets taken care of. Now my project tasks are numbers. They can be alpha characters too. I like using numbers because then I want to put a total in. So what I'd like to track for this particular project is I want to track materials, labor, and then I've got administrative expenses. So these first 3 project tasks are all going to be of a type called posting. I'm going to be recording transactions against them. But this 4th one here, this project task number 4000, is a total. And you can see here, I can kind of make like a little report out of this. I can have headings, I can have begin and end totals. I mean, I have a very small project here. So for quickly, I can have a total that says, hey, add up my lines 1,000 through 3,000. And now look what I get right away. I don't have to pull out my calculator. I see I have a total budget for this project, $12,625. I have a total price budget, what I expect to bill, of $23,400. So this total line has lots of power behind it. And you can see I have already posted some expenses to this project. And these are all drill downs. So we can look at what was really posted here. And I've done a little bit of billing, not much. Okay, so I have way more in actual costs than I do in billing right now. All right, so there's the basis for creating our project. Now, the menu bar, there is too much for me to go through in just our 1 hour call here today, but I'm going to take you to our project menu because we do spend time here throughout the project. If you are tracking dimensions that are related to projects, here's where you will assign your dimensions. Once you start tracking information for the project, the statistics page becomes valuable to you, where your task lines are your columns now. So good information here. And again, you can drill down on these transactions. And I like my ledger entries. Okay, so if I wanted to see the details behind the activity for this project, I can look at the details on it. We will spend time on our project planning lines. But before we get there, there's one other thing I want to show you on this page. Oftentimes, I will turn off or close my fact box because I want to maximize my desktop space. Well, from my project card, even my project list, I can get summary information very quickly on this fact box here. Drill downs, again, you're probably sick of hearing me say drill downs, but here we have drill down information. And basically, if you look at it closely, it is our task lines appearing in more of a vertical type of report or view. I'm going to close this though, because again, I want to maximize my desktop space. So remember, your tasks are your summary buckets. Your project planning lines under project and project planning lines are your details. Now I'm going to tell you right away, I have personalized this page. There are columns that I want to see here that don't show automatically. So when you open this page in your Business Central, it is not going to look like mine. But you're going to have the recording and you'll be able to stop the recording right at this point here and look at the additional columns or the things that I've done if what you see you like for your projects. So let's talk about what happens here. Now we build up our details and we have to first tell Business Central which task line does this belong to. Okay, so this is materials, this is labor, and this is my miscellaneous or my admin. And now we have a line type. Now for this T&M project, every line that I have here, I've decided I want to capture the expenses, that's my budget, and I want to bill my customer. So I'm going to track both on one line. Could I do two separate lines, a budget line and a billable line? Yeah, I could, but it's just going to take up more space. Again, this is a super small project. We have customers who have, and I'm not joking, hundreds of lines here. They scroll, scroll, scroll. They do a lot of filtering when it comes to their projects. So much information is tracked right here in this little page. The planning dates here, this is will default to the date that you created the project. Again, if you are tracking dates for reporting purposes, then you can come in here and change those dates. Now, when you create your lines, you're going to choose one of 4 items here. It's either going to be a line that's tracking a resource, an item, a GL account, or some text. So the first line I have here is a resource, and I have selected my resource from my list. And then I have a description. I don't need a location, unit of measure. Here comes our numbers. I anticipate 100 hours to be used for this resource at a cost of $50 an hour. I'm going to continue on because that's my budget line right here, right? Quantity, cost, total cost. These 2 columns here, I'll tell you, I know are personalized. I added them in so I don't have to do the math. Now, when you see price, there's the billable side. So I'm also going to bill this. I'm going to bill it at $100 per hour. So now I have my line amount of 10. When we start recording usage or transactions against the lines, Business Central will do the math for us on the remaining quantity. So when I see a quantity of 100 here and a remaining quantity of 60, that tells me I've used 40. Okay. Now, quantity to transfer to journal. This is the quantity that you want to record for usage. So we're going to do this in just a second. It defaults to the amount remaining, but maybe you only used 10 hours or he only spent 10 hours on the project this period. Then you're going to change your quantity to transfer to journal to 10. It's this column here that creates your project journal. The project journal only goes to the project. It does not go to the general ledger. Now, there is a project GL journal that will go to the general ledger. We'll reserve that discussion for another webinar. Okay, we're going to talk about creating our project journals right from our projects. Then transfer to invoice, how much do you want to bill? So if you notice this transfer to invoice, it's the amount remaining, but it's not 60, right? Well, the remaining quantity here is for budget purposes. The remaining quantity here is what's left to bill. So if you see, I already billed 20 hours. I have 80 left. Okay, I can bill more than what I have recorded budget-wise. Okay, it's not going to stop me. I'm not sure that I would want to do that, but I can. So these numbers across the line here are really important. It's the basis for your project. Now, looking at items, I have 3 items here. These items are in inventory already, and I'm going to be relieving inventory for them. Okay, I look here and I have the quantities. Now, my cost will come through. Now, if you're an inventory person, what you're seeing at here is current cost. We don't know what the cost of the item will be coming out of inventory until you post. Okay, so when you post, you'll know that Business Central will post it at the unit cost, but then it makes a second entry to adjust it to its actual cost based on whatever your valuation method is. Okay. So now I've got my cost, and as I go across here, I see, well, I have 0 remaining on my yellow chairs. Okay, that means I've consumed or I've expensed all of them so far. And I have partial remaining of the next item, my desk. Then I have all my chairs left. And what do I have here? I've got some travel expenses. So I have slowly been recording transactions against my project. And now we're going to show you, we're going to look at how we record those transactions. So first, I want to record some usage of my resource. Okay, and I'm going to come into my quantity to transfer to journal, and I'm going to put a 20 in here. I have 20 hours for this particular period. I also have some item usage. So I have, I forget which this is. So I have a desk and some chairs left. So I have 4 desks, but I've already consumed 2. So I am going to just consume 1 more, just so I have a remainder. And I'm going to use 2 of these chairs. Now, the last item type, and we didn't talk about this, is GL account. So what's going to happen here, and you should be thinking, well, Gina, you told me that the project journal doesn't go to the general ledger. And you're right, it doesn't. Okay, but think of this as an admin or a miscellaneous type of expense. I would expect the actual expense gets booked to pay accounts payable or to the GL on its own. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, okay, I've already made 1 trip. I have to make 1 more trip that I'm recording the expense for. I'm not doing anything with invoicing right now. I'm just recording the activity for this project for whether you record it daily, weekly, depending on how busy your projects are. You may not want to wait monthly because then you've got a bigger margin for error. So I'm going to take these items here. Now, what you can do is if you only want to record some of those items, you're going to highlight or click on this box here at the far left side of the row. Whatever you select here is what will be created to our project journal. So some people say, well, do I have to zero it out if I'm not going to record it? No, just don't select that line, right? And I said, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to hold my control key. I'm going to record this one. And I'm going to record this one. And you know what? I'm not going to record the trip just yet. I don't have all the receipts in. So it's these 3 lines that I want to record usage on or consumption. The word can be used interchangeably. Then I'm going to click this button that says Create Project Journal Lines. I have my date, template, my batch. I'll go ahead and click OK. Now, there is a link here that says Open Project Journal, but because my journal has multiple lines on it, I have to navigate to it manually. So I'll go to Project Journal. Here's my activity. So Business Central created the entry for me, the task, the amount, put the hours in, my quantities. Now notice there is price here, but this has nothing to do with billing, okay? It's still just recording budget/expense. And then of course, if you have dimensions assigned to the project, you'll see those default for you here. If not, and you need dimensions, you can add them after the fact. If you have a mistake here, if you have a line that you didn't mean to record, you can delete the line. If the whole thing is just messed up for whatever reason, you can delete the entire transaction, and it's going to just bring you back to where you were before you selected those lines. So really easy to double check everything and make changes before you click post. Now, before I click post, I do want to look at my preview. So I want to make sure there's no messages. And as much as I practice, sometimes I get messages. And now you say, well, Gina, why is there a GL entry when you told us the project journal does not go to the GL? And here's why, except for inventory items. So when you have a task that is an item line type, it will go to the GL. It will reduce inventory quantity for you, and it will still create that project entry. So what I see here, this should be a credit to inventory and a debit to cost of goods sold, right? So here's my inventory account. Here's my cost of goods sold account. Okay, so it does relieve inventory, takes care of the subledger, even though it's a project journal. I say, okay, it looks good. I'm going to go ahead and post it. All right, let's go back to our project. And I'm going to close my project planning lines. And let's take a look here. And now you'll see we have additional costs here under actual costs. If I drill down on this materials line, I will see all the project ledger entries that make up this line. So even though it's supposed to be materials, I have a resource assigned to that line. I don't know what the reason is, but there's a reason. And I have my inventory items in here too. So I can go back to my source document. I can go to find entries, and I can recreate or go all the way back to the source of the transaction when I'm looking at my numbers here. So now actual versus budget. If I divide the 8,000 by the 12,000, it will give me 63.76%. That's how much I have completed the project for my costs. But I haven't billed very much, so I better get to billing, shouldn't I? To do that, we're going to come back to our project planning lines. And I'm going to do some billing. I'll come all the way over. My quantity to transfer is where I do the billing. Now, I have 40 left out of 100. So I've only billed 20. What do I want to bill this time? Now, does it have to be exactly what you've consumed? No, you're going to bill. It's a T&M project. You're going to bill what you need to bill. Okay, so I'm just going to bill 10 hours on this just to get a funky number in here. I have consumed all 6 of these items, but heck, I haven't billed for them yet. So you know what? I better bill for them. Okay. I want to bill for, this is 3 here. I believe this is 3. Yep. So we can bill for 3. I want to get all my money in right now, except for my travel expenses. And I'm going to bill here for 2. So now I've told Business Central what to transfer to a sales invoice. I don't have to zero this out, okay? Because all I'm going to do is select, I'm going to hold my control key, the lines that I want to create the sales invoice for. So I'm going to create my sales invoice. And I can open it right from here. Now, if you've already posted some invoices, or if you've already created invoices and not posted them, you'd get a different page show up first. But everything here is posted. Here's my invoice. Okay, I can make changes to dates as necessary. I have told Business Central these are the items that I want to bill. I want to make sure I don't have any problems with tax groups. We're good there. So here's the invoice. I've got my total tax. I can just, it's a sales invoice now. Nothing different about it. I can go ahead and post this. If part of your process is then to turn around to the posted sales invoice and email it or generate it for your customer, then you would just go on your regular process for that. I am not going to be sending the invoice out yet. So now we're back at our project planning lines. Look at the invoiced amount column now. And let's take a look at our tasks. So now we're doing a little bit better, right? We've invoiced 10 of the 8,000 that we've spent. Okay, so we show here our invoices, and the activity here doesn't change based on the type of project you have. So what does that mean? Well, the next project we're going to look at is a percent of completion project. Now I have no activity posted to this one yet. So I'm going to create this percent of completion project. My general fast tab, nothing different about it. Regular project information. My tasks, same thing, nothing different because it is a percent of completion. Where does the change come? Under posting. I do need a posting group, and I do need a WIP method, and I do need a WIP posting method. So now that I've set that up, it still is not a percent of completion project until I click this WIP button, right? So we are going to record some usage here. We're going to go to our project planning lines. And so I have nothing on this project, right? I've got 3 items, a couple resources, and I'm always having these travel expenses. So I'm pulling these items out of inventory. Oh, by the way, if you didn't have enough quantity at that particular location, you would have a notification across the top of your page, that teal bar that tells you that there's not enough quantity. I'm going to come over to transfer to journal, and I'm going to decide what am I going to record for usage. I'm going to make it easy, and I'm just going to do half. And what is this? 1 here and 3 here. I'm going to record a whole bunch, but I'm not going to record my travel. Now, what I put in here is what will be recorded as long as I select those 5 lines. Is it 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines? So whatever you select here is going to be created in the project journal based on the quantities that you have in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click this button, create project journal lines. Okay, and I'm going to open up my project journal again. Now, I didn't point out, but my project planning lines are both budget and billable. Just because it's a percent of completion doesn't mean I don't want to track the costs or usage. I don't want to bill my customer. Okay, the percent of completions for my financial statements. I'm still going to accumulate my costs, and I'm still going to bill my customer based on whatever schedule I have with my customer, whatever the agreement is. So I have installed some equipment here, and I've got the people who helped with that installation. I'm ready to record this against my project. Now, if I look at the preview, just like we did before, you're going to see a GL entry. That's because we have items. So just keep in mind, project journals don't go to the general ledger except for inventory items. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and post this. All right, and let's take a look at, well, here's my project planning line. So everything is budget and billable. Let's take a look at our tasks. So now we have actual costs compared to my budget. Haven't done any billing yet. Percent complete here is just doing the math for us, right? It's taking actual cost divided by budget. That's where this 37.37 is coming from. Now it's the end of the period and it's time for us to calculate WIP. I haven't done any billing yet. And so therefore, do I want to do billing? No, not yet. So I'm going to click on my WIP button here and calculate WIP. Now this is not a final decision, so don't be afraid of this. Okay. Our general journal entry number will be WIP 21. Okay, so you can put a date in here too. I'm filtering it to just this particular project. You can calculate WIP for a range of projects from the project list page. So it's calculated, do I want to take a look at the posting accounts or the entry? And yeah, I do, because still at this point, I'm not committed. Okay, I can delete this and be done with it and fix whatever needs to be fixed and calculate again. So what do we see here? We see applied costs and we have recognized costs. Then we have in and outs of recognized sales. So we can recognize revenue even if we haven't billed it, okay? So it's a true accounting term, and if you're not an accounting type of person, then you just got to bear with me as I put on that accounting hat. Okay, so we have to remember that recording the costs and recording billing to our customer is a separate process than recognizing revenue and recognizing the costs here. Okay, so it's pulling our GL accounts from our posting group, and how does it get these amounts? Well, here's what it does. If we know that our we have our percent of completion calculated by taking actual costs divided by budget, and I think it was like 37% or something. So we take that 37% and we multiply it times the total amount of the budget. And that's where this 443820 comes from, because the 38% of the 12,000 is this number here, and this is our financial entry. Conversely, we do it for sales also. We say, okay, what's the percent complete times my budgeted billable amount? And I get the 6676. So that's where these numbers come from. It's a whole numbers game here with WIP. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to say, yeah, I like everything. If I didn't, I would say no. I can delete the entry and, like I said, fix whatever I need to fix. So I'm going to go ahead and post this. And here's project posting WIP. Now, notice you've got some reversals here. This is a whole nother webinar, let me tell you. But when you post WIP every month, the out of the box method is to reverse the previous month's entry and book the new entry. That's I think it's SOP 81.1 accounting rules for reconciling revenue and expenses. So let's go ahead and click OK here. We're going to go ahead and post it. And it was posted to the GL. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to go to General Ledger Entries, one of my favorite places in the world. And I will typically sort descending by entry number because I want to see the entries that just posted. They may not be in date order because who knows what date I used, right? Here's my WIP 21. So now it's recording that revenue recognition and the cost recognition for WIP for us. Next month or the next time we run WIP with our new transactions, this gets reversed out and a new entry gets created. Okay, so what happens in effect, it doesn't get reversed as of 12/15, it gets reversed as of the current date. So this month's financial statements are still correct. Next month's financial statements, they have a minus, and then there's a plus for the new activity, right? So the net of it is still good. Probably more than you ever wanted to know. Okay, let's go back to our project card. Now, the billing piece of this here is just like the billing we did for T&M. If I come to my project planning lines, oh boy, I better talk faster. Okay, I'm not going to do the billing because I'm looking at the clock. All we would do, same way to bill. Okay, what do I want to transfer to the invoice or to a sales invoice? What do I want to bill? I would select the lines, click Create Sales Invoice. Now it's just a regular old sales invoice. You can open it up and review it. If you don't like what you see, delete it. come back, fix whatever needs to be fixed, and create it again, and then post it. And once we have done that posting, we'll have invoice numbers here. Okay, one more project I want to show you. This is our fixed fee project. Now, everything is the same. My tasks, my general, my posting, I don't have a WIP method. So this gets set up just like a T&M project. Only for this particular project, I am going to receive 3 payments from the customer. I have agreed on a $5,000 payment to start the project, $10,000 when we're halfway through, and then another $5,000 when we're about complete with it. Now you'll notice these are separate lines. Okay, I still, of course, want to track my usage. I want to accumulate the costs so that I can do some analysis as to, what does my estimating look like here, right? So what do we take into account? I'm going to come to project planning lines. Here is where our line types are different. My billable lines, I'm only going to bill. I'm not accumulating costs. I'm going to put costs in, but Business Central isn't going to do anything for it. My budget line is the cost. I can put information in on my prices, but BC doesn't care about that. So here's a situation where you could just use, or you would want to use, just a specific line type. Now, nothing changes here. Okay? If I need to bill for usage, I'm going to come in and bill for my usage. So maybe I'm just going to record this. I'm only recording some work that was performed. I'm not looking at inventory or anything. So just one little line here, right? I'll create my project journal. This time I can open my project journal right from the project planning line page because it's only one line. I say, okay, yeah, looks good to me. I have everything I need here. I'm just going to post it. Billing is going to be the same thing. Oops, sorry. I want to do some billing. So far, I haven't done anything. I can go ahead and looks like I can do some billing here. Maybe I will bill for the quantity used, which is what, 30. What did I just do? Oh, okay, well, dumb Gina, exactly what I told you guys. I have to be careful that I bill on my billable lines, okay? Oh, darn it, yes, this is my fixed fee project. So here we go. I billed my first $5,000. Now it's time to bill my $10,000. Okay, I really was leading you down a garden path. Sorry about that. So I do want to bill this $10,000. It's the middle of my project now and I need to bill it. I select the line, choose Create Sales Invoice. I'm going to create a new one. And let's take a look at it. So here's my payment, or my sales invoice for the payment. I probably should do something in here. And I say, yep, everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and post it. Now, I'm going to show you a feature that is relevant for all 3 of the project types that we've looked at. I'm just going to show it to you using this project. I have an inventory item that I need to purchase. It's not on here because I don't have enough quantity for it. What I can do is I can create a purchase order for that item. I can create the purchase order right from my project card or my planning lines, or I can be old-fashioned like Gina and have it staged for you. And let's go ahead and open the purchase order that I have waiting for us. I'm going to sort this descending, and it's right here. Now, here's what happens. This is just a regular PO, nothing fancy, except on my line, I have to personalize my line to add my project number, task, and line type. Because here's what's going to happen. Business Central is going to create a project planning line for us. When I post the vendor's invoice for this particular purchase order, the item will be assigned to that project planning line and consumed automatically. Okay, so let's see, what do I have here? I think it's yellow chairs. Yep, I've got these yellow chairs, 6 of them that I need for this project. I'm buying them. They belong to this project here. Remember our task lines, this is probably materials, or this is my usage. It is a budget line type, okay, because I'm only accumulating costs here, so that's what my budget's for. So I'm gonna go ahead and post this. I'm gonna receive an invoice. Oh, I probably don't have an invoice number. Oh, I did put one in. And I'm gonna show you what this looks like on our project. So I'm gonna close my purchase order. Look what I have down here. Now, as soon as I close and reopen this page, it's going to sort it based on the task. But I have a new task. It's for this item, my yellow chairs, 6 of them. Here's my cost. Notice the remaining quantity is 0. We've already consumed them because of the purchase order. So that's a really nice way to get items that you have to buy onto your projects. You don't have to create the line. You can, but you don't have to. And you can just put that project information right on the line of the purchase order. Now, if I look at my project card here, I have some actual costs, and I've done my 2 milestone billings. Okay, actual divided by budget's giving me my percent of completion for costs. Actual divided by budget for billing, 75% billed. Now, billing for this type of project is what I showed you. It's just, I have a line, it's a flat fee. This is just my agreement with the customer. All right, I have 5, 10, and then when the project is substantially completed, I'm going to bill the other 5. I will continue to capture the usage or expenses on the project too till it's complete. Now for this project here, under my project menu and statistics, I have, again, my task lines. I can drill down on any one of these numbers. This is just if you had foreign currency, if you had multiple currencies. Okay, so really you're looking at this top part here. Good information. Remember, we've got our fact box here. And if I close this and go back to my list page, I can turn on my fact box here too. And as I select different projects, my fact box updates for me. Notice you can have attachments here too. So now guess what? You have a new project and you need to set it up. And you're like, shoot, I wish we had templates here because I don't want to create it from scratch because this project is just like my office remodel project. So here's what you can do. I'm going to click plus new. I'll give my project a number, new TNM project, and a name, new project. It's fancy like that. And who the customer is going to be. Now look what I can do. I can copy project tasks from, and I'm going to copy it from my TNM project. Now, this is easy, right? Because it's a webinar, so everything needs to work easily. In real life, we have customers who set up pseudo templates. They are projects that are set up in BC, never to be used as a project, right? Only to be used for copying and being able to get a head start on the setup. Okay, I'm using an actual project, and I wanted to copy all my planning lines or my tasks. I wanted to copy all the lines. And down here, keep in mind of this toggle here that says copy quantities and dimensions. So this may be on a case-by-case basis. So I'll go ahead and turn on the toggle here to copy the quantity, and I'm going to click OK. Now look what I have. Ta-da! I have task lines. I have a budget. I can look at my planning lines. I can make changes, any changes that I want, like the dates, maybe quantities here. But that's a quick way to create a project that you can still edit, right? Make the changes that are specific for that project. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is a few of the reports. I'm going to go to my project list. I have report, and then I have reports plural. Now, there is a very specific technical reason why there's two of them. Our developer tried to explain it to me one day, and I just said, oh, okay. But there's a reason that these are separated. But let me tell you, the plural has all the reports that you have under report plus more. So if you just want to stick with reports, you can. Now, the anal part of me says, no, I'm going to separate them because this is how I learned. Okay. The two reports that I like right away are my actual to budget for cost and actual to budget for price. If I look at this, I can choose where I want to send it. I'm just going to do a preview. I'm not even going to filter it because my projects are going to be the first 3 pages. But let's see what they look like. I'll make them bigger for us. So here's my T&M project. And now it's looking at cost, actual, budget, variance, variance percent. So it's these variance columns are what we don't have on our task lines. So it's good information. Of course, I don't want to call it, well, I guess the opposite is the price. The project analysis. Now this report, you can have it be yours because what we have are 8 fields where you get to decide what the columns are going to be. So it's a pretty neat feature that you can come in here and design your own report. And there's one more I'm going to show you, and I don't want everybody to laugh when you hear about it. So analyze projects. The analyze feature is all through Business Central now. And for those of you that love data, and those of you that can wrap your head around pivot tables and charts are going to love this. I am that person that has the mental block with pivot tables. So when I need something, I have my people that I go to. What we're doing here is we're taking information from our project planning lines and we can group it under our row groups. We can decide what totals we want. We can decide what columns we want. We can turn on pivot mode and we can turn on and off columns. We can even put filters in here. So some of you who are really data driven are very excited about this, and I'm happy for you. For me, it's a little overwhelming. Now, to get out of analysis views, all you do here is click this little icon, and it's going to take you back. And we're still on the report page, project ad hoc analysis. So I'm out of the view. This is like the flat file, right? I'm going to close this. And I want you to notice we have that same icon here on our project list page, but it's not the same report. You can see right away the columns are different. So throughout Business Central on your list pages, you do have this analysis icon where you can group and report, do such cool things with your list information. Sometimes people, they say, oh, this is cool. I want to see what it does. And then you're like, all right. And you say, okay, how do I get back? You're like, how do I, there's no back button to close this. And you get stuck here. Well, all you have to do is click the analyze icon again. You'll go back to your original list page. So report and then reports. These are all different. And I'll leave it up to you to generate and take a look at the various reports or analyze your projects to decide which ones are going to be best for you. So with that, I don't see any questions in our queue. So I'm going to come back to our slide deck. What did we do today? Well, we looked at setting up projects and how to track the activity for a project. We looked at the most common types of projects and usage and billing our customers. And then we moved on and we created a new project very quickly by copying an existing project, knowing that we can just go ahead and edit that new project for the specifics. Throughout our session today, we monitored our projects. We looked at statistics, we looked at WIP and recognition, we looked at reports. So a lot accomplished in just this little hour, and it's, I won't call it the tip of the iceberg, but it is the most common features and activities for project management. So keep in mind, if you're in a whirlwind right now, we are going to send the webinar recording to you and the slide deck after our webinar. But before we do that, you might want more. So here are our upcoming webinars and boot camps. You can find the full list on our webpage, trunorthdynamics.com/events. While our webinars are free, our boot camps are more in-depth. They're longer than a webinar, 2 to 3 hours, and they are hands-on. So there are activities that everybody will partake in. With that being said, there is a small fee for our boot camps. We also have developed some fixed fee services for you. So when you're thinking about your Business Central, these items here might be of interest to you. What you can do is contact your client success manager, get more information on these services, and maybe it's something that you want to move forward with. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on our introduction to project management in Business Central. I hope you have a nice rest of the day.